Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty fundamental our time, specifically this idea that we've got roughly, 4,000 weeks? If we make it to 80, that is?
It's a stark number, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the material we've been digging into, it doesn't really treat this as, another productivity problem to solve.
No, not at all. It uses that very finiteness, that limit, as a way to think about what actually deserves our focus, what truly matters.
Exactly. So, for everyone listening, you probably know the feeling, right? Information overload, pressure to do more, achieve more. Our mission today is sort of extracting insights on maybe accepting those limits.
Yeah, and making more deliberate choices, maybe moving beyond that constant feeling of being behind.
Getting off the hamster wheel, so to speak. We want to find some clarity in knowing we just can't do it all.
And the source material for this dive, it's based on some really insightful audio discussions around a book exploring this exact theme. So let's just jump right in. That feeling, then, always behind, no matter how much you tick off the list. Does that sound familiar to you listening? Our sources suggest it's, almost universal.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the kicker, the thing that really makes you think. Trying harder to be efficient can actually make it worse.
How so?
Well, the source calls it the efficiency trap. It's like the more efficient you become, the more you can take on. And so you do, or society expects you to.
So the demands just expand to fill the time you saved?
Precisely. The to-do list is never truly done. It just sort of regenerates. It makes you wonder if our whole push for optimization is part of the problem.
That's a really crucial point, like running faster on a treadmill, but the destination, that feeling of being on top of things, it just never gets closer.
And it fuels this myth, doesn't it?
Right.
That if we just find the perfect system, the right app, the ultimate time management technique,
Then boom, calm, control, fulfillment.
right? But the source argues that destination, that oasis, it's always shimmering just out of reach. It might not even be real.
The search itself becomes another thing on the list, another pressure.
Exactly. The author mentioned spending years, literally years, trying all the hacks, all the
Been
systems.
there, done that.
Right. And he realized he was getting incredibly good, super efficient at doing things that, maybe weren't the things that mattered most to him deep down.
Getting caught up in the how and losing sight of the why. I think many of us can probably relate to that. Getting lost in the weeds of the system itself.
Totally. Okay, so if chasing peak efficiency is maybe, a bit of a trap, what's the alternative?
Well, this is where the source material pivots to something quite profound, I think. This idea of acceptance. Accepting it's literally impossible to do everything.
And crucially, that this isn't like a personal failing. It's just the nature of being human.
Yes. Embracing finitude, they call it.
Finitude. Yeah, it's about acknowledging the limits, time, energy, attention, not as bugs to be fixed, but as features of the system, features of life.
Instead of pretending we're limitless, which just leads to burnout and frustration.
There's a strange kind of liberation in just admitting it, isn't there? Okay, I can't do it all.
There really is. And the analogy they used was brilliant life as this giant cosmic menu.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, endless options, right? Careers, hobbies, places to visit, people to know.
And you only get to choose a few dishes. You can't possibly taste everything.
Exactly. And trying to sample everything just leads to overwhelm, maybe indigestion.
Right, so the goal isn't frantic sampling. It's deliberate selection, consciously choosing what you actually want to savor.
And that changes the fundamental question, doesn't it? It shifts from how can I cram more in?
Say, okay, I've got these 4,000 weeks, give or take. What's actually worth doing? What deserves this finite attention?
That hits differently, doesn't it? It moves beyond simple task management into values, into what gives life meaning, what resonates with you listening in about that shift.
It's a big shift, and it leads really nicely into another key idea from the discussion, JOMO.
JOMO, the joy of missing out. Which sounds so counterintuitive in our FOMO-driven world, the fear of missing out.
It really does. But if you think about the efficiency trap, JOMO is almost the antidote, right?
Explain that a bit more.
Well, it's the relief, the positive feeling that comes from intentionally letting things go, saying no, even to good things.
Even good opportunities.
Yeah, tasks, trends, social events, work projects. If they don't align with what you've decided truly matters, letting them go can be joyful. It frees up space.
It's about consciously choosing what not to do.
Exactly. Intentional omission. The source had this great example of a painter.
Oh, right. The painter who felt she had to be everywhere.
Yeah, every gallery opening, constantly networking online, always on. It felt essential for her career.
But it was draining her and taking time away from the main thing.
Her actual
Yeah.
painting, the core activity. And so she made a conscious choice to step back, to miss out on a lot of that stuff.
Which must have taken some courage. Fear of being forgotten, maybe.
For sure.
Yeah.
But by focusing her limited energy on the painting itself, she found more fulfillment. And, ironically,
She ended up being more successful because the work itself got better.
that's the implication, yeah. Greater fulfillment and eventually greater recognition, too. Which leads to a kind of hard truth mentioned in the source.
Uh-oh. What's that?
That mastering your time, being truly intentional, often means you will have to disappoint some people.
Oof. Yeah. Saying no to things often means saying no to someone's request or expectation.
You can't please everyone and still protect the time for what's most important to you. It's a trade-off.
That really lands. We stretch ourselves so thin trying to meet all demands, and our own core priorities get diluted.
Which brings us neatly to this contrast the source draws. Chasing busyness versus living meaningfully.
Momentum versus meaning.
Exactly. It's not just about having a full calendar. It's about what fills it. And that story about the person tending the neglected cemetery, that really stuck with me.
Me too. It was so quiet, wasn't it?
Yeah, no fanfare, no obvious productivity points scored. Just slow, quiet, repetitive work.
Done simply because it held personal meaning for them. A connection to something bigger, maybe.
Right. It was about the doing, the quiet fulfillment in the act itself, not some external validation or result.
It highlights that difference so starkly, doesn't it? A packed schedule doesn't automatically equal a rich life.
Not at all. And it prompts reflection, I think. What are those activities for you, listening right now, that bring that quiet satisfaction? Things you do just for the sake of doing them.
The things that might get pushed aside when life gets hectic.
Exactly. Because they don't seem urgent or productive in the usual sense. The source really encourages making space for them.
Like what specifically?
Things like, long conversations without constantly checking your phone. Walks with no destination. Cooking slowly. Enjoying the process.
Journaling without an agenda, maybe? Or just sitting and observing?
Yes. Activities without obvious immediate results. The source suggests these are often the moments that, looking back, actually make up the texture of a meaningful life.
They're not time wasters. They're life makers.
Beautifully put, yeah. And this ties into a final shift in perspective the source offers about our whole relationship with time itself.
Moving away from seeing it as something to be wrestled into submission.
Pretty much. Less about control, more about inhabiting it. The metaphor used was time as a river.
A flowing river.
Right. And trying to control every second, manage every moment perfectly, it's like trying to dam that river with your bare hands. It's futile, exhausting.
You can't stop the flow.
No. So maybe the focus should shift towards being present with the flow.
Yeah.
Accepting its pace, its currents.
Learning to swim in it rather than trying to contain it.
Something like that. Being present with what is right now rather than constantly battling it or trying to optimize the future.
And the practical advice that came out of this was almost deceptively simple.
It really was. Do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Try doing it slower.
Laugh slightly. It sounds almost rebellious in today's world. One thing. Slower.
Totally countercultural. But think about it. Eating without the TV or phone. Reading without glancing at notifications every 2 minutes.
Walking slowly enough to actually notice things around you.
Exactly. These aren't just nice-to-haves.
Yeah.
The source positions them as fundamental ways to actually experience our lives more fully. They're the life makers, not the time wasters.
It reframes those moments entirely. Okay, so as we kind of pull these threads together, wrapping up our deep dive, what are the main takeaways?
Well, I think first the big one is shifting focus. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Intentionality over volume.
Right, and second.
Presence over productivity, perhaps. The goal isn't just to be efficient, but to be engaged, to be here for the moments of our lives.
And thirdly, this idea of finitude.
Yes, that our limited time isn't a flaw. It's actually what gives our choices weight and meaning. It's a feature, not a bug. Accepting that is key.
So we have these 4,000 weeks, roughly. Finite, non-renewable.
Can't buy more.
Can't make more. But the opportunity lies in how we fill them, right? With what? With who?
With connection, passion, rest, wonder, whatever truly resonates.
Which leads us to a final thought, maybe something for our listeners to chew on.
Okay.
Perhaps the ultimate key to managing time isn't about control at all. Maybe it's about letting go of that need for perfect control.
And learning how to simply be present within the time we actually have.
Exactly. So the question to leave you with is, What does truly being look like for you in your own precious, finite 4,000 weeks? Something to think about.